Welcome back. You're still watching Citizen Extra, the Tuesday edition with me, Freddie Ndimuli. Just before we go on with our discussions in studio, let's link up with Jackie Maribe all the way in Mombasa. Jackie has been on the Jubilee campaign trail. A very good morning, Jackie. The biggest story we're discussing here has to do with the debate yesterday. I'm sure you know what happened. Is the Jubilee campaign discussing this at any level there?
Right, indeed, Fred, and good morning to you from a very sunny Mombasa County. Now, this particular issue, yesterday had been brought up even as we were on air during Citizen Extra, and the question came up, is Deputy President William Ruto going to attend? And now, as we had said yesterday, and as you saw, the Deputy President was persistent, saying he will be with his boss, President Uhuru Kenyatta, on the campaign trail, and the narrative that we are getting from them, albeit not during the public rallies, is that their real debate is down at the ground, or on the ground rather, with the people of Kenya as they hunt for votes. A statement to that effect, Fred, and I believe you had that already, was from David Mugonyi, the Secretary of Communications, who said that they will not engage in a playground charade. Rather, they're more interested in taking this campaign very seriously and going out to the people and asking them for a second term in office, Fred. But today we will be following them through 3 counties, which goes to show just the length or the weight of that statement that they are saying theirs is with the Kenyan people. They will be in Kwale County today, they will be in Kilifi County today, and finally cross back to Mombasa County as they seek re-election come August 8th. Now 20 days away, Fred. It's literally getting down to the wire. Our first stop today, which will be in a few as we leave Mombasa County, will be in Kwale at Shimoni. Thereafter we'll be in Shimba Hills, then Ukunda, Mtwapa in Kilifi County, and finally in Nyali in Mombasa County. Fred.
Thank you, Jackie. Jackie Maribe there with an update on the Jubilee campaign's itinerary today, going through 3 different counties of the coastal area, Kwale, Kilifi and Mombasa. Jackie, of course, will be linking up with you later on for more updates on the Jubilee campaigns. We do understand NASA is in Western Kenya today, and we'll also be linking up with Stephen Leto shortly. But back in studio, we still have Dr. Sam Kamau, Mark Bichachi, and Charles Munyui, who are our panelists the previous hour. Now we're also joined by Bonke Komwai. Bonke, a very good morning. Karibu sana. I'm sure you want to say something about the debates yesterday. You must have watched that boycott. Quick thoughts on that.
Thank you, Ndimuli, for having me. Thank you so much. What happened yesterday was so embarrassing. I mean, I wasn't expecting the Deputy President to send Kimani Ichung'wah to represent him. One, Kimani he has never attended any cabinet meeting, or be it security meeting in State House, because Deputy President is the second in command. Kenyans were expecting a lot from Deputy President. It's not a matter of talking to Kenyans on the ground. I mean, anybody would ask, even anyone from the opposition or any political analyst, why did Jubilee post whatever they've done on the portal? Why is their development is on the website? They were talking to elites. A grandmother in the village cannot access whatever portal or the website of Jubilee Party. So I think it was the right moment for Deputy President to shed some lights on the allegations the opposition has been attacking Jubilee. And another thing is that if you look at how the Jubilee Party, they conducted the entire thing, it was quite sign of arrogancy to the media. It is quite arrogant from the Deputy President not to talk to Kenyans on what Jubilee and why Kenyans should vote Jubilee again. I mean, if all of them, they are now focusing on the re-election of the president. And if you look at even Nairobi, Sonko has not been campaigning. You wonder what is going on. If Sonko lacks cash or is out of money, is running out of cash, I think the party should come and stand with him. So there's a lot of problems going on. And if you look at NASA as well, Kalonzo Musyoka could have taken advantage of the yesterday's situation. He could have appeared to talk to Kenyans to take advantage. Actually, both Jubilee and NASA, they've lost almost 30% of Kenyan trust with what they did yesterday. So I'm not supporting it at all. And the leadership of this country, they should give media their freedom. It's like there is how they are trying to undermine media, and they are fighting the private sector. It's like media is making a lot of money than the government. So what happened yesterday, that was lack of strategy from both opposition and the ruling party.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Meanwhile, Mudhiora Karriara's Twitter handle @KarriaraMudhiora continues growing, 9,500. An hour later, more than 500 new followers. I'll give you an update of that just before I leave studio. Now, let's move on to the other headline today, and it has to do with election preparedness. Yesterday, quite a number of organizations, the Communications Authority, the CS for Interior, we had NCIC chairperson, they held a press briefing, and they gave out a few guidelines with regard to security and communication during this time. Let's watch this story that played on Citizen TV.
3 weeks to go to the August 8th general election, the Communications Authority now says the media will not be allowed to relay their own tally of the results to their audience. According to the authority's Director General Francis Wangusi, the media will only be allowed to announce results declared by IEBC.
I know some media houses have been engaging into dialogue about making their own tally centers and releasing their own results. I hope that your results will be released after the IEBC has released its official results.
Speaking at a Kenya Private Sector Alliance meeting with various government agencies, Wangusi claimed announcing results tallied by any other organization or group would precipitate chaos in the country. Already, a number of local media houses have made private plans to collect, aggregate and relay the results as provisional outcome of the various elective posts up for grabs. The opposition alliance NASA has also indicated that it will set up its own parallel tallying center to guard against possible vote rigging in the elections. The authority has, however, indicated that it will not shut the internet during the election period. The communication sector industry regulator is also warning Kenyans that it was on the lookout for hate mongers ahead of the polls.
So we are watching the platforms, we are alert, we are on 24/7, and we have enough tools, particularly on social media platforms.
Every single Kenyan has a duty and a right to remain peaceful.
Speaking at the same event, Acting Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i and Chief Justice David Maraga said the country was ready for the polls.
The security sector has done a risk assessment across the country so that we are able to prepare effectively to provide our expected facilitation to the IEBC to be able to hold or conduct free and fair elections.
I want to assure the nation that all arrangements have been made to deal with electoral disputes that may come, including any acts of crime.
We're going to say if you lose, go to court. If you win, fine, celebrate, nothing wrong. And in that manner, we want to make sure that there's credibility across.
Meanwhile, in Eldoret, a 26-year-old man was charged in court for allegedly posting hate messages on his Facebook account. Meshak Kipchirchir Korea.
A number of issues coming out of that event, one on security, and it's a similar headlines on the dailies as well, because I have a copy here. And on security, more than 180,000 security agents to be deployed at the 40,800, this close to 41,000 polling stations. The internet will not be shut down despite the rumors. I'm sure people are a bit concerned, but individuals who use it to incite others to violence will face the music. Fake news websites, and there are quite a number of those fake news websites, some using names of prominent media houses, and WhatsApp groups propagating hate speech will be shut down. How, especially when it comes to social media, probably this is where it gets a bit tricky. If the internet is still left on, we know in other cases like in Uganda during the elections they actually shut down the internet. But in Kenya they said they will not do that. But you leave the internet to operate as it does, and then you say you will control social media. Mark Bichachi?
You know, the most important thing about this particular election is that we need to remember this is 2017. Now, I've just done a search on my phone, Fred, and if you search the name Raila Odinga, the first website that comes up is a very interesting website. It is actually a website full of hate for Raila Odinga. Now, this speaks to two particular concerns. Concern number one is, what is the Raila Odinga campaign doing about websites that are speaking badly about him? But concern number two, when we talk about fake news websites, what are we doing about such fake news websites? Because the reality of the matter is, the problem with how we campaign in Kenya is our campaigns are driven primarily by the hate of individuals. So I am a certain tribe X and I hate this person in tribe Y, and therefore I'll vote for my candidate. And what needs to happen is politicians really need to tone down that rhetoric of being against each other, because how that translates on people's Facebook pages and their Twitter pages is outright and blatant hate against certain communities and certain people. In fact, if you look at many Facebook and WhatsApp groups, you will find there's always the random person who will share a statement that is obviously laced with bile against a certain community. Now, this needs to be cracked down upon. I personally do not believe it's just a police matter. It is also a citizen matter. We as citizens need to stand up and say, no, you cannot post that, you cannot say that, because at the end of the day we are Kenyans. And the truth of the matter is, if we can hold ourselves to that standard, then it will not matter who wins this particular election, because we'll come to a point where we are able to accept each other and not feel like I've lost my life, I've lost my existence, there's no hope for me just because my candidate did not win the presidency.
Yes. Dr. Sam Kamau, the case that Mark has just mentioned about fake websites, some of these sites have been in existence for quite a while. Yet we see these institutions coming out 21 days to the elections talking tough. Do you think they're really working, or should we take them seriously now? Yet these things have been in existence and they've done nothing.
Well, Fred, I think it's important to say, especially the context of yesterday's meeting, it was meant to remind Kenyans that even though we are all focused on the elections and the electoral process, life still has to go on, and our country has to win no matter who wins the election. Having said that, on the issue of fake news websites and propaganda and hate messages and what we are now calling dangerous speech that is going around on social media, I think it's a problem. It's a new phenomenon. It's not new, but it has come to prominence in the last, we would say, 2 years. Especially given what we saw the role of fake news in the US elections. And I think there is deliberate effort now to what you would call disinformation and misinformation, and spreading messages that are meant to either mislead people, that are meant to create fear in people, or they are meant to create hatred in people. Having said that, Fred, I think the problem is actually not social media, and it's not even the electronic devices. It's people. It's people who lie. It's people who use these platforms to spread the malicious information. It's people who use these platforms to lie, to spread disinformation and misinformation, and create confusion and hate. And I think we still have to find a way of actually dealing with the individuals, not the people. Technology is only as good as the people who are using it. And since this is a new issue that seems to have taken a central position, because I can tell you, Fred, from long time ago, people have always been lying. People have always been, mobilized ethnically. It's only that social media has given a new platform to people to express themselves and express some of these sentiments. And whereas mainstream media has a bit more of the keeping procedures. Social media gives unfettered access to people and gives them a platform to articulate whatever they want. Now, whether NCIC and the other relevant bodies are able to actually police and actually control or maybe monitor whatever is happening, especially in what we call dark social, in the closed WhatsApp groups, they would have to rely on reports coming from other people. I don't think they have the capacity, but at least it is good the warning has been sounded and people have to learn to take individual responsibility. But the other thing I would want to caution Kenyans is actually take the individual responsibility. Make a commitment not to spread hate. Make a commitment not to spread lies. Make a commitment not to attack other people on the different social media platforms that you have.
Yes, and the question is with the growth of technology, because the kind of situation we are faced with in 2017 is very different in as far as internet advancement and penetration in our case from 2013. 4 years later, so much has changed. WhatsApp was not as big back then. WhatsApp is probably one of the biggest modes of communication that we are employing now. Do you think NCIC and the Communications Authority have any capability, now that they say they do, but do you think, Charles Munyui, that these institutions have the capability of actually monitoring this kind of social media?
Fred, if you say nasty things, libel me, defame me on social media, and I take it up with the police and I take you to court, you'll get your time at least within the presence of court before maybe you get jailed or you get fined. I think to me it is largely, these matters are lost at the point of the willingness to prosecute in the first instance, the ability to investigate, and the prosecution aspect of it when it comes to court, and the willingness of, especially of witnesses, to provide that evidence in a court of law. To me, NCIC and all these other independent bodies have been threatening and saying all these very interesting things that we are going to do, we are going to do, we are going to do. They are lucky now, against a backdrop of a very strict evidence act. Now they have cameras that you can carry around, you can do all you can monitor all these things. But we have very, very good laws, Fred. The problem is not the law. The law is in place. We know if you say something against my friend here and he takes it up, someone is going to punish you. So the fact that they always threaten, just threaten. I wish I would see 20, 30 people hauled in court. If you go to social media right now, before you even threaten, because there is no law they are coming up with, they're just saying from now on we'll be arresting you. What do you mean? Why don't you arrest the ones that are saying all this manner of nasty things right now and have been saying that in the last 1 year, and then you hold them into court? Let them, when they're in court, people will start being careful. But you don't tell people from today you start observing the law. The law is there to be observed. If you look at even opinion polls, for instance, we have a law that manages opinion polls. We have an act of Parliament called electoral laws opinion polls act, that you're not supposed to come up with these opinion polls a year to elections unless they are scientific, and you're supposed to prove that whatever you have is scientific. Look at people spreading all this manner of opinion polls saying this one is winning, the other one is winning, even on social media. Why don't you do these things against the backdrop of the laws that we have, so that people can be deterred from participating even in the first instance in spreading, number one, or even initiating hate speech, as it were?
Yes, Bwana Kumwai, your thoughts on that?
Well, I think what the Commission should appreciate is that Kenya is one of the most respected in Eastern Central Africa in terms of technology and also democracy. So we don't want to experience what Ugandans they've normally experienced during the elections. So doing away with the internet, that will actually create a lot of commotion. And stopping the media, the main media like now Citizen TV, from giving us the information on the ground. Why are these politicians right now, they're using the same mainstream media to talk to Kenyans? And the mainstream media, they have got the capability to follow.
Are you talking about the vote tallying and
absolutely
results?
Yes, about the tallying of the media and now the political parties. So we need to verify if there is any problem. Jubilee is complaining that NASA has won, or NASA is complaining that Jubilee has won, and the process was not transparent. Then we will know, citizen, what are they saying about their tallying? And now the political party, now the NASA, now the IBC and the Jubilee. If you look at the American election, I think CNN confirmed Trump the winner. And even Clinton, she was watching CNN, and immediately the media gave us the result of the United States of America. So the Commission must appreciate the steps, the stride we've taken, and they should not dictate us. This is not Mulolongo system of government during Nyayo, where things are it's just a breaking news. We need information. Okay, it's up to bloggers, those who are trying to spread hate speech. That is a personal decision. If you are trying to spread hate speech against a certain tribe, you will face the consequence. So they should just take action to bloggers who are just to spread hate speech, these people who are trying to abuse the WhatsApp group for hate speech, the musicians who are spreading hate speech songs in vernacular. Those are the things we want to see. And if Honorable Olekaparo has been doing his job, which to me is quite incompetent, he's been so incompetent. I mean, President was embarrassed in Kisumu, who financed, and he has the capability to know through NSIS who finance those youths, because no one can just wake up in the morning to go and shout at the president without a politician behind or a businessman behind such hooligans. Raila Odinga was embarrassed in Thika. What did they do about it? So they should stop threatening us with they will shut, because what I heard from Olekaparo is that he's still thinking if he can shut the system of internet or they will leave it. I want to warn him that this is, or to advise him rather, that this is not Nyayo and Mulolongo system during Kanu's time. We are in the 21st century, we are informed, we want to get the information, we don't want to go back to 207 skirmishes.
On that issue of vote tallying and announcement of results, of course, the statement says that some media houses will have rights to set up their own tallying centers. However, they have been cautioned against publishing and announcing results before IEBC officials do so. Do you think that probably the media we should get to that point, like Bwana Kumwai said, in other jurisdictions where the media actually does call the election? Mark? You know, Fred, I am really trying my level best, like a class 1 child, to understand what that regulation is. Are they banning mathematics on the election day? Because everyone will be tallying. Everyone will hear results and they will write down numbers and we will tally. It is a natural process of human thought. Now, what I don't understand is, what do they mean? If a particular constituency has said Raila has this many votes and Uhuru has this many votes, then are they banning the media from announcing that? Are they banning the media from being able to do the math of saying we've got 10 constituencies that have declared the results and this is the tally so far? That law is quite confusing, if we are honest. And the reality of the matter is this: if the courts have ruled that the constituency results are final, then what is the responsibility of the media other than to transmit that information? And that information must be translated into a palatable manner. So if there are 10 constituencies with their results, I would imagine that any media house worth its salt will have those numbers down. So it is confusing to say don't do it but still announce results unless they've been announced by IEBC. I think they need to clarify that. And secondly, I think it will be foolhardy to try and clamp down from human reasoning and human calculations, because that will always happen. My father used to do that in 1989, using Lolongo. He would write down on a piece of paper. We did that in 1992, we did that in 1997, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't see anything wrong with repeating what an official has said at a tallying center in a public format, because these results again will be announced in public. There'll be someone there with a Facebook account who will say, in my constituency this is who has won, and they'll transmit that onto a social media platform. So even from a crowdsourcing perspective, it is possible to sit down on my computer and pick up information that has been tweeted and Facebooked and WhatsApped and come up with a tally. Are we saying that Kenyans are refused, do not have the right to count? They don't have the right to do mathematics, and only the IEBC is competent to do mathematics on that particular day? Is that what we are saying? Dr. Kamau, do you have as many questions as Mark Bichachi on this particular issue? Because I also do have a question. Does transmitting or flashing numbers on screen, can that be tantamount to announcing the results? If you say this candidate has this much and this candidate has this much, and this from this number of polling stations, is that tantamount to announcing the winner?
I think, Fred, there is a confusion between, of course, what you are saying, the tallying that you expect the political parties and the media houses will be doing, and declaration of the winner. And I think it is very clear that declaration of the winner can only come from IEBC. Having said that, we know political parties, I am sure both Jubilee, NASA, and other people, including us as individuals, will be trying to tally and collect the figures to try and see who is actually winning or who is leading where. But Fred, I have to remind you that back in 2007, I remember that year of December, at around 3 p.m. I was watching news, you remember, during the disputed election. And I remember one of the local media houses, television, I saw an anchor actually apologizing for what they had actually been tallying and showing to the people. You remember, of course, what happened is that one candidate was leading and the media was also doing their own independent tallying. And then all of a sudden the Electoral Commission, that time ECK, announced something very different. And I remember this anchor actually coming out to apologize and say that we had tried to do our best to tally and collect information. We are using what we had. And I think that is the kind of confusion that is coming up right now. It is within the right and ability of media houses and the different political parties to actually collect the information, tally, because that is their work. But on the other hand, we know that the electoral body has the responsibility of actually announcing and declaring who has actually won. But Fred, I have to take you one step back. The problem in this era of fake news, the problem of fake news is not that it's believable. The problem of fake news is that it makes us also question the truth. So the issue is, if the media and IBC were to announce two different things, for example, if they were to show two different figures, who should we believe? On the other hand, if the political parties are also doing their own independent tallying, for example, if they were to announce, because they have actually said that based on what is declared at the constituency level, we can then go ahead and tally and announce our own results. So if they announce something different, and for example, the media also tends to announce something that is slightly different from what the political parties are doing, and then IBC comes with a different figure, that is where the confusion can come up. And I want to believe that that is what informed Wangusi's point of view. But having said that, it is very clear from the ruling of the court that once the results are declared at the constituency level, anybody can actually take those results and tally and say this is the final figure, and then wait upon IBC to actually confirm or declare. It goes back to the issue of, do we actually trust one another? Do we trust the media? Do we trust IBC? Do we trust the political parties that they can actually accept defeat on the basis of what they have tallied? I think that is a question. 50 billion spent on the elections buying trust, as we said earlier on. Do we have enough trust in these different modes of tallying, Charles?
Like my colleague has said, to me it's about trust and manipulation, as it were, because I think even the media is informed by what is announced by the respective officer on the ground, IBC officer on the ground. The media does not make its own figures. So I don't understand. I think to me the way this message was disseminated in the first instance, there should have been consultation with the media houses and representatives of the media so that it does not come out the way it came out. Because it came out as if media houses have their own figures, or media houses are fed by some other sources for information. I want to believe, like my colleague has put it, that is that media picks what has been given by the respective returning officer. If it's at the county constituency level, there is a returning officer at the constituency level who is supposed to confirm the respective figures. If it's at the county level, we still do have someone at that level in terms of a returning officer, and that is the information you pick and put and maybe at the end of the day tally, and you can tell, because even if it changes, that is the information that was given to the public in the first instance. My thinking is, if that clarification was there, then it would not look as if media is relying on on maybe an agent of a politician or an agent of a political party for its information, because I think that is the way now it's being viewed. It's as if media just sits back and waits for an agent to say, here in this particular police station, our candidate has gotten so much, so put it on the table that you have, that is being broadcast all over the country and the world. So I think if this confusion would be clarified by the persons and the people that came up with it in the first instance, then we would know the position on media on this, because to me media is very important. Media is relied on even in court. Media is reliable because that information is needed. Don't forget that there are even people going to court I'm not aware whether that man is still alive in court, saying we should have those results 7 hours too, because the more you delay giving out this information, the more the anxiety you create within the country. Yes. So I think, to me, it is the way information was disseminated. It should have been done better.
And even in jurisdictions that are developed like the United States, the official electoral body actually announces the results much later. It is the media that calls the elections out of their own tallying. Do you think, Mark, that we will ever get there or get there anytime soon?
You know, the funniest thing, the returning officers are required by law to publicly announce the results. They lift it up and they show it to everyone who's there, the party agents, the public, and the media. It is enshrined in our law. That's why, in fact, media has access to these particular polling stations. So it is self-defeating to then come up and say that the media is not allowed to announce the results, because the only thing the media can do is relay what this particular official has done. Now, the reality of the matter, if you look at 2007 and 2013, the media was already there. The media was able to get results, in fact, faster than the IEBC in 2013, and say, in this particular county, our reporter reports that these were the results that were there, even as the IEBC was waiting for them to be airlifted and driven all the way to Nairobi. So the reality of the matter is the technology is present, the goodwill from the media is also there, and I believe there is no Kenyan who's sitting somewhere who wants to give up fake results in terms of the proper media. So the reality of the matter is the IEBC should sit down with the media and have an agreed position on how these results will be transmitted. Because remember, constituency results, if we are to go back to 2013, we know that within the first night, constituency results are mostly done. So the reality of the matter is the media will have these numbers as the IEBC has it, and if the electronic system is what they're going to rely on, they will also have the results at the same time. So the reality is Kenya is already at that position. We don't want to create a situation of anxiety, and if we delay the media from giving out these results, it will create anxiety, because I'm in my constituency, the results have come out, but they're not on TV. So I've put them on my Facebook page, but Citizen TV is not carrying it. It will create desperation within the nation. So the reality is we must accept the times, we must accept that we are where we are at this point in history, and media is real time, social media is real time, and the IEBC and every other organ needs to be alive to that reality.
Thank you so much, Mark Bichachi, Dr. Sam Kamau, Bonke Komwai, and Charles Munyui, our panelists for this hour. We now take a short break. When we return, we'll get trending news by Brian Okoth.